Going in. Got no choice. We're going in. And we in. We are live and we are echoing. All right. What's up, you guys? This is Wisdom Wednesday with my co-host, Michael. Boys. Hey, we gotta let them know we're moving.
Hey.
We're
Man.
moving. What's up, you guys? We are moving and I'm excited. We are moving and I'm excited. Yeah, I thought all those like snag days were not productive. We've been working and we behind the scenes and we've been doing some stuff to try to improve and get better and get more consistent and put it on a better platform so we can get more followers to see what we be talking about and blah blah blah. Other than that, how was your weekend, first and foremost?
My weekend.
Yeah, I know
What
we
did I do?
far away from it,
Oh,
but
I took my grandgirls to the zoo here in Chicago, Lincoln Park Zoo, and then
you
we
went
went out.
downtown. We have an
Yeah,
Audubon.
what
Hmm?
you say?
We have an Audubon zoo.
Oh, Audubon. Oh, what you mean? The birds?
Hey, whatever New Orleans call it. I went on down to the
Then
Audubon zoo, and they
Audubon was
asked
he
for
was
you.
a bird. He was a bird. He was a bird aficionado, and he was an artist too. He drew the birds also.
Learning something new every single day. Todos los días. Every
If it's
single
about art,
day.
you know I'm familiar.
You said if it's what?
If it's about art, I'm very familiar.
I don't I really don't know too much of the history of Audubon Zoo. Um, which I will go deeper into it just because we're talking about
I don't know if it's a bird zoo or anything, but I
no
guess, but that name is famous for the I think they call them an ornithologist. I think that's what they call them. What you call
ornithologists,
a bird watcher.
bird watchers.
And it's a lot of wild bird life in the swamps of Louisiana.
Yes, that is true. That is true. With their long-legged tail. Let me see.
Hmm.
Okay, so okay. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tapping in. We're going in today. Y'all know how we doing on Wisdom Wednesday. We coming through with some information with the hopes of you guys going further yourself. Or shall I say, your damn self. Okay? We just gonna collect what we have and throw it at you with the hopes of it sticking long enough for you to go to do your own research and then take it from there. Right? Right. So you threw something at me today a couple of days ago in regards to talking about women. Now you said famous women, the top famous women of the 20th century. I want to know more about all that. For sure, for sure.
Well, actually, I was, uh, I was thinking, I was targeting famous women of not famous women, but a lot of times our women intellectuals and scholars, scientists, artists, they get overlooked uh,
That is true.
through all the cultures and ethnicities, uh, and most especially ours because we readily identify with our race of people, or more so than others. Um, when you have a sense of your own history,
Right.
but we also have to take care is we are not a monolithic we are not a monolithic people. We live
Right.
in the entire world.
Right.
So, but what I was thinking about was the uh, the intellectualism and the notoriety of women of the 20th the 21st century
Mhm.
in that we're living in right now, because a
Okay.
lot of women are overlooked. A lot of the information that we learned in school was just
Systematic.
and it was kind of like they just glossed over it, you know.
They didn't
Uh,
really dig.
women and dealing with society today as women has taken on a more um, a more liberating role in society as being politicians, CEOs of major companies, and entrepreneurs themselves.
How do you
You know,
feel about that? What's your take on that, knowing that, you know, it's in that direction, you know?
well, there's two aspects that I look at, and there's one aspect is the aspect of the progressive woman of the 21st century, and how they came from not the abolitionist movement, but the feminist movement. Before that, it was called something else. I can't think of it, but it was a fight for the women's rights during the 1800s, because women didn't have the right to vote. So we take it from that time all the way up to our feminist movement, and then to the career professional, and now to uh, women being entrepreneurs and um, and making a lot of money for these men dominated industries and companies. That in itself is an accomplishment for the woman.
Right.
Now,
Especially when you look at it from coming far down. That goes to show you, when you are steady on course with something and you are determined, it shouldn't really matter how long it take, as long as you're in that direction. You'll surely get there at some point, because now looking at it today, you see it starting in the 1800s. They fought and fought and fought and fought. I'm not saying that, when I say they, I'm talking about majority of the outer race, of black people, because we didn't have nothing to fight for. We always were together, by survival, and you know, but pushing forward, at the end of the day, you see that they got what they want. They're getting what they want.
I mean,
Mhm.
we you looking at um, really a woman who is basically, she comes her origins of her people come from India, and this woman is the vice president of the United States.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, we have pivotal figures within the world, in the world, international world, with women like Margaret Thatcher, who was the prime minister of Britain, and of course the Queen, and all the royal family and everything, and their power structure and everything. And then you had over in the Philippines, you had Imelda Marcos, and a lot of women leaders who were international in over the international world, who had came to power and regulated themselves in a male dominated role.
Mhm.
But it has never been that way in the United States, with the exception of the first Secretary of State, who was Albrecht. Her name was Albrecht, and the latest, who was aligning themselves up to be the actual president of the United States, of course, Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was also Secretary of State before she tried to run unsuccessfully for president twice, right? Did she
Mhm.
run?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that shows you that e- even though you could, like Kamala Harris is at the highest pinnacle of of the representation of employment or having a job or having being a part of the power structure of the United States, there is,
What
and
you think
that
about that? You think that's more systematic?
well, this the thing is right here too, and this is what I was going to say. The second part about these women coming to power and these women putting in these positions and everything. See, the power structure, which is mostly male dominated, descendants of European, what we call white Americans, males. They go home, and most of them in the late twentieth century on to the 21st century, most of these men were married to educated women, and women who also had careers. Now, when they did marry into these powerful men families, they went on to have children and everything, and they established that all American nuclear family, and
Hmm.
but they also maintained their own sovereignty and their
Hmm.
own identity and independence. And so, the men are looking back this, the male power structure is looking at this, and he's like, and they steady campaigning and they steady banging and everything. Like, no, 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 we're not getting paid the same as men get paid, and no, we want this position and we want that position.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we get into this dynamic of what they call the gender wars, which
Right.
we talked about before, and how this affects the children, and also how it affects the relationship in between the two companions, the two married couples, or whether they are in a relationship or not.
Mhm.
So the power structure says, well, if you can't beat them, then join them. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they feel like, well, even if it's the honorary or a token position, like, give it to them, let them have it, so they will shut up, so I can have peace in the house, so they can come home and feed these children, so I could get a home cooked meal every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? So they
You think
like,
every once
you
in a
know,
while?
every once in a while, every man wants, you don't want to be eating out all the time, but a lot of them have chefs and everything also, but they still want to maintain the identity of the good old American family, and also personify that image. And
Yeah.
so it has pros and cons. And within this context of these women coming to power, they're um, they're more so in competition with men a lot of times.
You
Just
think
like
so? You think so?
yes, most
'Cause,
definitely.
um,
If
I do you think it's more of a knowingly thing, or is like in the workforce? Because I think there's like probably a strong misconception, of that, like
you
in
look,
this and
I've always heard this. I've always heard this because I worked as an independent contractor for most of my life. But when I did go into the 9 to 5 and get a job, and people always told me the worst supervisor, the worst supervisors there are is a black woman. Like, you don't want you don't want a black woman that's your supervisor. And the same thing, the black women will claim the same thing also. But then again, the black woman who is rising up through the ranks and everything, she claims that the worst supervisor is a white woman. So you
towards
have these
towards
you have these this is this is what happens when the feminine energy and comes into the male dominated workforce. So now everybody is in competition with each other, you
right,
know, not
right.
competition as necessarily trying to do better, or even trying to increase your value in the company, but it becomes an ego thing,
Right.
you know, and the thing, and also an aspiration to reach the top and to have a type of notoriety and a salary that is commensurate with with the uh with the male dominated employment, which they have not reached that plateau uh in the corporate world, um as an equal status in the same position that a man is holding. But as far as the entrepreneurship, it's just, it's all,
Level
you know.
with women in the entrepreneur. Hmm.
Yeah, because you look at the woman who I think she's the editor. I'm not the editor, the owner of Essence magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
Essence the essence of their whole persona and the image of. Then you have females, black females and other females who are in the movie industry who are directors now. So they're in charge of their own destiny, and they calling all the shots. You got the producers now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got women all over the world in every type of position there is in the secular world, and also the religious world, and also now, especially in the United States, in the military.
Mm. Interesting. Hmm. Um. m- Okay. So dating all the way back, it was always like I don't want to say always, but the woman was considered the pharaoh, right? And considered the woman in which was on the throne for obvious reasons, right? Not on an ego tip. Um, she gave life and expected to be honored as such because of that serious duty task that she had been given. And moving forward, you have the patriarch system come through and take that away, which I feel like was probably one of the things that really pissed her off subconsciously over time, right? And
Subconsciously and consciously.
consciously, right? Subconsciously, they did something to tame her emotional side because um when she's enraged, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Yeah,
something happened for us this special amount of time where she was chilling. She just, gave threw up. It was like whatever. All the way, in like the occultic area, you know, calling women witches and stuff
yeah,
like that because of the powers that they had, And I don't want to say powers, but being more in tune because of that special extra sense that the beholder had passed on to her for special
yeah,
reasons, for obvious reasons, all due respect, but I think she woke up, she was like, this some bullshit. you
yeah,
know Later on in the 18th century, she like, this some bullshit. I
yeah,
don't like it, and it's time for me to take that pebble back.
yeah,
So at this point in time, it's like wondering like if the masculine or the patriarch system is going to just abdicate at some point and be like, you know what, it's time for us to go and settle down and suck our thumb a little bit, and and not get our balls chopped off, of course not, but at the same time pay respect and allow this woman to be at her greatest. We're far away from where we were before, where our ancestors were. We're more in the masculine energy at this point, because now we are in the corporate world. Now we are doing stuff that makes us more, masculine versus feminine, because we have to compete. We have to, come out of our nature side. And I'm like, at some point, I feel that it's gonna hurt. And I think men are feeling it now, which is especially in the Black community, because it's like a no fair zone. But
Yeah.
they're feeling it. And at some point they're gonna, I don't know how many years it's gonna take before they actually say it is what it is, but it's coming. But you know a lot of, you're very well rounded in the historical realm. Who are some of your favorite women? Because I want to know, like, and why.
Well, I had I don't know if you could pull this website up. It's called
Mhm.
uh it's called 100 Famous Women of the 20th Century.
I can pull it up.
But okay,
Definitely can. You got the website for me?
and then it has uh a list of women, some of whom I'll give you
Who's-
my take on who were my who were the most influential women uh historically and up to in modern times. Like that was the question I had that I actually had wanted to ask you. It's you by being a woman, I
Well,
wanted to ask you that question, and you beat me to the punch.
I asked, because I know you have a lot of collectives, but for as me, um okay, so I have different areas in which, I am in. I'm in the music area, I'm in the business area, I'm in the antiquity area. So they affect me differently, and it can be based on how forceful they were, or how extraordinary they were in that
Mhm.
field in particular. Like, for instance, like if it was music, there's special people who I look up to, special women who, I revere. One of them would be like a Minnie Riperton, or Sarah Vaughan, or
That, that's crazy. That just went through my head. That
mhm,
just went through my head. When you said entertainers. I was thinking about it. It just triggered in my head.
Sarah Vaughan,
Her, I just started hearing her. No, Minnie Riperton. I
Minnie
heard
Riperton.
her voice
She's
before
my
you said that. I said, "Nah,
She's my favorite. I kid you not. And her story is so powerful,
tragic."
and such a tragedy. And what she did, to, it's such a, and how she did it, what she sung through pain, and then she was dealing with, an interracial relationship, at crazy times. And then she had to deal with um a cancer during her, and her effortlessness, and her sweetness, or how sweet she was, going through all these different things, and how she never broke a sweat on a stage while she went through all of this stuff, and how easily she just disappeared. And then there's some
Yeah,
more,
yeah,
or with Sarah Vaughan, her and her depth, her intricate of singing, her versatility, how effective she was, how much you can learn from her, that even with Ella Fitzgerald, these women were dynamic, on their breathing, how they dominated all of that stuff, like they dominated their craft,
yeah.
on um the business area. I definitely, appreciate a lot of there's men in my mindset when it comes to the business zone.
Yeah.
But the one that I do appreciate a lot is Madam CJ Walker,
Mm-hmm.
because she taught me how to be aggressive in a
Yeah.
business world, in trying to on a startup level, you know what I mean? Like, never giving up, going for what you want, going for what you know what works, even if it don't work. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Going for gold, going for the, like, by any means necessary. Take that pride down and go in there, get it. You know what I mean? And I have a lot of respect for that, especially with her being in a male dominating area. She had to place herself amongst men who laughed at her and didn't take her serious at all. And do I like the
Yeah.
fact of her practice, what she was doing? No, because nowadays, you got women who fry their hair, fry their scalp, and now they're dealing with the repercussions of it all. But besides that, you know, besides that part, you have this woman who had the tenacity to say, I don't give a damn what you say. I'm going to go ahead and push this issue, and you're going to hear me by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And I won't stop.
She
You
she
know,
she's on the I think she's on the on the list also, and I especially looked into her history. Now we seen it. We had been taught about Madam C.J. Walker in school and as
Mhm.
a part of Black History, before, and it was just glassed over. Yeah, Madam C.J. Walker made
She,
the straightening call.
that's a
No,
straight.
she did way. She did much more. She did much more than that. She opened up. She opened up. She was the first black woman who provided a professional beauty shops
Mm-hmm.
for her for black women. But also, when you look at the biopic of her life on film that they just made, maybe it was last year or 2 years ago, about her life. They made a movie about her life.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Amazing,
the lady,
amazing. Yeah.
I can't think of her name who played the part, but she's a popular actress,
Mm-hmm.
dark skinned, dark woman.
With the big
She
eyes.
played a
Yeah.
yeah, she played a role with Denzel in one movie. She plays a lot of roles now
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood. But
It's so interesting.
the way that they went into
I
the
was
way
actually.
that they went into the dirt. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, I was just saying I was actually in the same room with her and Russell Simmons going at it with each other, which was a big honor to be amongst them
What
playing.
the actress herself? You're
Hmm?
talking about the actress, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You're talking about the actress, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, she has a dynamic and a strong, very strong masculine personality.
mm-hmm,
Kind of like how the role of Sophia in The Color Purple that
mm-hmm,
you hear Oprah Winfrey. That
mm-hmm,
that type of personality. But the way they described her life and everything, see, that's what people like to see. They like to see the dirt. They don't.
mm-hmm,
They don't. Okay, a person could be successful in everything, and that would be fine and great. That's good for a documentary.
mm-hmm,
But when we talk about, but people want to be voyeur and look into the personal life of the person instead of separating their job and their craft uh, from what they from what they do in their own personal lives. And it was something that I looked up and that was fascinating. Also, that was in the movie, and that was just uh, light skinned woman who was her assistant. And her
Mhm.
assistant has also had some technique in hair that Madam C.J. Walker did not want her ever. You remember when they was in a competition with each other, with these shops and everything.
Yeah.
But Madam C.J. Walker stole this lady's ideas and everything, and she was working for her at the time that she done it. But that was one aspect of her life that I found fascinating. Besides, her sexual preference and all of that type of stuff like that, and and just like what you was talking about Minnie Riperton, how she came to an untimely demise, and the heritage that was squandered by her daughter after she died.
Mm.
That was some. And see, we need to hear we need to hear the good and the bad so that we can remember, and so that people can understand the humanity side of a successful person, of a millionaire or a billionaire. It's not like all that money, after they acquire all that money,
What's next?
sometimes it doesn't bring them the happiness that they want. Look at her health. She was famous. I mean, super famous. So this was around the Harlem Renaissance during that time and everything. And you have all of these women and these men that was in this certain society, and she was living next to millionaire white folks and everything, and nobody takes into consideration what these people who we deem to be highly successful, what they go through.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely, they go through a
So
lot,
that was the only thing that I wanted to
especially.
add, Madam
You say what?
C.J. Walker. Go ahead. I
No,
say
you.
that was the only thing I wanted to add. Description of Madam C.J. Walker, and how you was explaining her prowess in
Hmm.
the acumen of finances and her craft.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, on my there's other areas. Modeling. You know, as a model, these are like the areas in which my interests are. Um, of course, um, Tyra Banks. The reason why I say her, and I know there's plenty of amazing models, extraordinary models. The reason why I chose her is because she teaches, and she been in the game and went through a lot of hell like most models do. But she stayed on top and remained humble in the eyes of many. Now, I don't know how she is behind closed door, but the way you present yourself in public is kind of typically who you are. You've seen some models out there that's these top models and like Naomi Campbell and stuff, and they act out. They show their ways and stuff like that. But Tyra Banks,
Wow.
Wallen, but I appreciate her a lot because um she's very international. She started at a young age. She fought her way through. She had many moments where she was, in pain, in tears, crying about, what was going on in her area, competing with the model next to her. And she kept forcing her way through. She had a strong mother that carried her all the way through, which was basically her rock. And she she broke barriers for many women of different sizes. She opened
Mhm.
the door for women of many sizes. One of the things that I didn't want to do being a model was be something that I did not want to be. Um, when you go into a model area, you get categorized in spaces, and by me having like an interesting body shape, it was hard for me to really figure out which way to go. Where am I placed? Am I placed? And I can't be placed in the skinny zone because I had a bubble butt. I can't be placed on the catwalk because I wasn't tall enough. By
Mm.
me having a bubble butt, and being black at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you need to be categorized in this area right here, which is
Yeah.
basically an area in which I don't want to be in when it comes to how people observe me, because my first thought would be, my mama gonna look and see, I have that up here that's like, I'm like, I don't need no honey dripping down my ass cheek, just to say, hey, picture. I ain't doing it. So
But I
what
mean, for
what
for
hmm? No, what I
for
had.
for women of your shape, what you call a full figure woman, there was a certain demographic that y'all had to that y'all fit into, that was attractive for the male dominated society, of putting y'all not on display, but allowing y'all to do your modeling things,
Get
just
in.
like you were saying with the honey. You know how the Ohio players had the woman on the but
Right.
that's one of the most memorable
Right.
images and photographs for us guys that come from the 60s and the
It
70s.
was bad. It was a bad
There
photo.
is
Yeah,
nobody ever forgets that image.
because it was something, they had they had the nerve. That's what happened. They had the damn nerve, and that's how these things get through, because they have the nerve. So in my case, I was like, I went with the model. I actually tried out with Tyra Banks and I got rejected. I tried out with
Mhm.
Janice Dickinson. I got rejected, and I kept losing weight just to get in the
Oh,
game.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no fair. But I started off as a class model, modeling for classes and stuff like that, for us
Mhm.
students, for oil classes, painting classes, and all these different, life classes,
Oh,
you know.
you was a figure model. That's what you call a figure model.
I started off, as a life model, and so I was
Mhm.
like, okay, let me move up in the game, So, but once I seen the hard work that was, yeah, I was like, let me put on that Tyra Banks mindset. Let me break through some stuff, and I had to let some stuff go. But that mindset made me think like you can do whatever you want to do if you figure out where you want to go or where you want to be, not where other people want you to be, And after a while, I pulled away. I said, no, I'm not going to be a stick. I'm not going to be 130 pounds. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do, cry about not being tall enough. I'm not going to do
Yeah.
this. So I start forcing my way in another zone. I said, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be, one of those black model girls that is not doing the honey dripping down the ass, but doing it with class, And ever since I did that,
Yeah.
all of my modeling, my modeling went in that direction because I had the nerve, to go ahead and break away from that.
Yeah.
And so when you look at my collection of my photos, they're all done the way I want them, and it's not the way other people want it. So I had to, I took her mindset and was like forced through it. And plus she was, she did so much. She was like, started her own show online and on TV and did it for series and Black Woman.
I think she still has a show on cable with the development of the different models. She introducing training these different models, just like you were saying. She's a
Yeah,
teacher. Now Tyra had the ideal body type, the ideal height,
yeah.
uh, for being what they call high fashion model, and
Mhm.
those are the ones who get paid millions and millions of dollars
Right.
uh, to be models, but they suffer from as a result of being around the fashion industry in this environment. They suffer from a lot of drug abuse and a lot
Yeah.
of eating disorders,
Yeah.
with
Yes.
bulimia and anorexia,
And,
and
that's what I appreciate a lot with
when
Tyra Banks.
Tyra, when Tyra gained that weight, it was like, hold on, wait a minute, she ain't skinny no more. She
They
looking
had to
like,
help
oh,
her.
girl, you looking like a real live sister now. And she wear it well.
That
And
part.
that's what opened the door for full figure models. And then you have the models who are I
She
don't
was
know
bringing
what
them in
they
before
call it.
that. She was bringing them in before that.
Yeah.
She was bringing them in. She was like, we're gonna try a short one. We're gonna try a thick one. We're gonna do that, do all of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a lot of respect for her. Because she broke a lot of glass ceilings. Where people was like, that ain't supposed to be. Even with what's her name, Trixie? Is it Trixie with the short hair? Everybody. It was she was a short model, but she didn't do
Mhm.
catwalk. But she had this uniqueness about her where, they accepted her, but
Yeah.
Tyra definitely killed the game. She's still killing the game. And even with her weight, she was like, I don't care. I'm gonna eat my food. And that's one of the things that I have a lot of respect for
Well,
her.
well,
She's like, I love food.
she's not fat. She ain't let herself go. She looks great. She looks like a
She's
normal
woman.
a normal woman with a fine body. Period.
Right, right,
She
right.
don't look like if you look at these high fashion, of course, us as being black men, we really never liked that image of the high fashion model with that skinny body like that. We black men don't like that like that,
I want that
you
shit.
know. And we as us being older men, now I don't know about these younger guys, but I don't even see them. They like Instagram models and these goofy looking girls who putting implants in their body. So you haven't seen any of these popular entertainers walking around with no high fashion models. You
Right,
know,
right.
not no black man. Some of the
No,
white
no,
boys, they like that. They
right.
white women, they always had iron behinds anyway. So
With black women, who white guys with black women.
no, no, I said no. White men have always they women have always had flat asses.
Oh, okay.
So
But now they trying to get them
it
now.
never bothered them.
They're getting them
I,
now.
this is why I said the difference in between the 20th century and the 21st century.
They want that
Because
ass
these
now.
white men now like, girl, you must be eating some collard grade.
No, they
This
eating
means the
silicone for
spoiled
breakfast
bread.
and dinner. Extra fat to stay on
Silicone.
top of that. But no, but even even with all kind of women, it's ugh. Anyways, um another one of of course, the mother of all, mother, in the antiquities world, Mother of Set. A lot of people don't.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have been blessed with that name because I have been looked upon as such. And I have an invader. I have an invader. The little hands knocking on my door. Um, the reason why I have, of course, in all, go away. Thanks. He said, okay. Um, with her, I have much respect for Mother Aset because she had the damn nerve to pull a broken man back together and give him life in many different ways.
Now, what would be the moral of that? The lesson that they were trying to teach in that story of Asa and upset, and how her husband was chopped up into some say 12 pieces, some say 16.
13.
But we know that she recovered all of his body parts except for one part.
Which
Now
was
can you explain the dynamic of what that really meant? What that really meant, or what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? Or can you elaborate on that? Because the member that she couldn't find, right?
the his obelisk.
The member of his body part that he couldn't find.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I I personally, I personally, everything is a metaphor, pretty much, because we can't go back and see ourselves. So, with the metaphor that we have been given, from this, the since it's on the writings, is the carvings. That's the part that puzzled me slightly, because I know that the power source is not supposed to be taken lightly. All right, that's life. Um,
Hmm.
she obviously retrieved it based on what the ancients
Hmm.
say. She sat on it and produced.
Right.
Um,
Well, it
but
was a Tekken. What you call the obelisk.
the,
She made it.
okay,
She made it, and this was the symbolism that I was trying to find out if you understood, or what what does it mean? What does it mean to you? Because a lot of the mythos of the Egyptian folklore and their symbology can be taken uh, can be taken 100
many
different
different
ways.
ways.
It's how it expresses itself to your own self. Some
Mhm.
may say this way or that way, but how does it express itself to you, especially being her namesake?
It's more of making one whole again in totality. Um,
Right.
a bird can travel anywhere and gather information, and that's exactly what had happened, right? And plus, knowing that
Mm.
that source had information, DNA codes, and things like that. So for her to be able to, like, or the for the bird sake of what she turned into, to make it happen, she pulled life. She pulled pieces together and made life, renewed another,
Mhm.
for the sake of carrying
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah.
and also creating something and teaching it knowledge, um awareness, mindfulness, and her offspring was able to address and be mindful consistently of what took place, what happened. And it can be in the case of the story, or it can just be in the mindfulness as a whole, carrying on the information, because
Yeah.
they claim that the man is the one that sparks the inner light in a woman, which is true from
Mhm.
science, right? And also just, on different metaphors too. And but they also say that the man is the one that has the information in its seed. It has the coating,
Mhm.
and the woman just has the shell, the egg,
Yeah.
the
So,
and the information get the light is just penetrated,
yeah.
so that's what she was after. She was able to take it, and
Hmm.
the light was traveling on to the offspring to go ahead and say, I am in remembrance of, so from my understanding, from my take on it, that's the same duty, okay, that I do, unknowingly. I have been in cases where I have made people whole again, not just on a man
Hmm.
level, just on mankind, period, man, human. And
Wow. Yeah. Right.
right, and passing the genetic information, the information that is within me to them
Mhm.
for the sake of betterment, growth, mindfulness, passing tradition, um, the way I take in information is by what resonates with me. If it doesn't resonate, I question the fuck out of it. I'm not going to let nothing just sit
Hmm.
with me and just be like, oh, okay, they said, no, it has to resonate. It has to sit where I live and sit comfortably, okay? Period. Feet on ground, just like the ancient, And then with that information, I pass it on to whomever asks for it. In regards to my kids, my offsprings, I teach them because I know what I know, and then I let it sit with them, and they question as well. So that's what I get from a set based on what she did.
Hmm.
Um, she basically made collected man, brought them back together, and then carried on with the information that needed to be carried on. So
Okay.
those are like the women that um and also I must say my
Most.
mother, my mother,
Of course.
okay, my mom,
Yeah.
she's a strong
That's why.
woman. Hmm. Yes, my mother,
Go
she's a
ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, she most definitely, like many other women, went through a struggle, in her days, and she has given me a lot of insight just by her works on how she pushes through and make things look easy. Someone told me some time ago, you was poor, you know and one thing I said to them, and I didn't really notice what I was saying, but I knew what I was saying, but
Mhm.
I didn't think it was going to hit the way it hit them. I say, well, hell, if I was, I didn't notice it. So
A lot of us did. We didn't know we was poor. We didn't know we thought poor was something that we seen on TV, like the little kids over in Ethiopia and Africa who
right,
had flies coming. We didn't relate not the struggle of
no,
paying bills and the struggle of putting a menu together and making groceries.
no,
Because we didn't know nothing about that like that. We never missed no meals. It might not have been what you wanted, but you
right,
still was full,
right. And one
full
thing
before
about
that issue was over.
exactly, and
And
my mom, she definitely, she didn't make it look like, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a beat. We didn't,
yeah,
we didn't live in poverty stricken areas. We were always in very nice areas, very nice home, um, good school, always taken care of, clean uniform, all that. My mother was a mother of five, and she dealt with men who she was not comfortable with after a certain period of time, but it never stopped her from being the strong woman that she was born to be, with
Right.
making sure her children, to raise her children and get up and get out of a situation like that, being a mother of five. I hear, about women
Yeah.
who has less children and they don't, do what's best for the children and themselves. So I give her a lot of respect for that, you know, raising five kids, going back and forth to work in the middle of morning hours and, and daytime hours and stuff like that, and not, and we had three-course meals and in fine cuisines and my grandmother, she's another one as well, but those are some of the women that I have a lot of respect for it's like the women who I think are strong, like there's one woman, her name is Griselda. Woo, Griselda. I don't know if you ever heard of Griselda. Griselda was
Is she a
grizzly.
friend of yours? Or?
Would never be. No, Griselda. Ooh, Griselda was this beast, this drug lord out this world.
Oh, okay.
A hellified drug lord, and she didn't play. She didn't play with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't play with the cops. She didn't play. She dominated that scene so bad. And what was so interesting, they had so much fear for her. Oh my gosh. So much fear
This was,
of Griselda.
this was in your this was in your adult life. A person you know, or
No,
what is it?
Griselda.
Is it a figure of notoriety?
No, Griselda,
I
the
mean,
drug.
where's she from?
I think she's Colombia or Mexico. I think she's Mexico. It's South America, somewhere in South America.
Oh, yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me,
Okay, all right.
I had nightmares about her. I did. That woman was
I
kicked.
think I know who you're talking about. But in the
Colombia.
underworld, you've always had female figures who were just as cutthroat as the males. That's
Man,
it's always been like that.
man, let me let you. This
Not
woman,
as not as dominant.
this chick, that chick right there,
Blasco, is that her name?
Blanco,
I
Griselda
heard of her.
Blanco. She is a drug lord of the Medallion cartel, and a
Okay.
pioneer. Okay, they call her a
From
pioneer,
Colombia?
huh?
Is she from the States, or is she from or a foreign country? She looks
Um,
like a Colombian.
yeah, she looks Colombian. She is Colombian, but I don't know if she
Okay.
transferred from there to here, but she was up in there. She was
Oh,
killing.
she was in the States. She was putting work in the States, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They said she's not. She died. She
This is
just
what I'm
died.
saying.
She died
A
of
lot
gunshot.
of these, a lot
They
of
got
these, a lot of these women of notoriety, whether they be positive or negative, are not mentioned in society
her. Not like
at
that.
all.
Yeah,
You know,
they say she was.
unless they make a movie, unless they make a movie about them or something like that.
They say she was kidnapped, attempt ransom. Eventually shot a child from an upscale flatland neighborhood. She was recounted.
That was her claim to fame.
Let me see. Blanco former lover Causeway recounted that at the age of 11, she allegedly kidnapped, attempt to ransom, and eventually shot a child from an upscale flatland neighborhood near her own neighborhood. Blanco had become a pickpocket before she even turned 13.
Mm-hmm.
So They say to escape the sexual assaults of her mother's boyfriend, she ran away from home at the age of 19 and resorted to looting in Colombia, Medellin, until the age of 20. And then she wind up uh, doing business in Miami, New York, and California. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's on the wicked side.
that West Coast connection. Oh, that's why you know about her because she's from the West Coast.
I watched one of the, I forgot what it was when I was watching TV. I watched
American Prime or something like that.
something like that, and she fascinated me. I was like, wow, she's
Mhm.
amazing. so, so
Well, I grew up with females like that, with women who
really,
were already established in the game. Yeah, who was head of the heads, assistant heads in the dope game, in the prostitution game, in the gang banging game. I mean, that's who I was raised by on the streets. I was raised by prostitutes and pimps and people who were gangsters. And, you know, that's
they
why
tear
I know
you
so
up.
much about the streets. You know, I was always in the ghetto all the time. We it wasn't called the hood back then. We called it the ghetto, nigga.
The
We lived
ghetto,
in the ghetto.
the inner city, okay, before they changed it up and made it all cute.
We lived in the ghetto. Is a Yiddish word. The word ghetto came from where Hitler used to put the Jews at in the slums. He
Right,
put them in
right.
the slums before he started actually committing genocide on them, and those slums were called ghettos. So
All these
we
things.
also have
Go ahead.
this secret relationship in between the black community and what we call the small hats, meaning the Jews, and they're trying to relate their relationship, especially biblically, their relationship with the struggle and the cause of the black race also. So they'll
Mhm.
say that that they're the real Jews of the Bible, and then you have the black Israelites who come along and say that no, they're not the Jews of the Bible. We're the Jews of the Bible. And they
Mhm.
always took on these different aspects of even during the abolitionist movement, they were the liberals uh, uh, who who helped with the civil rights movement, with the abolition movement, with the NAACP, all the
Mhm.
way up to the every black organization that we have now. So it's always been this interrelationship in between in between the black race and the Jewish race as them as uh, as self identity, culture, and religiously, and most of all, most powerfully, controlling the social and economic dynamic of the black race. Because they
Right.
if you want to get some funding, they funded everything that black people did all the way back but that's a whole total another subject
On
right
a whole
there.
nother subject,
And
right? But it is true. They
yeah,
still marking it, you know. It's still more even on
but
Black Lives Matter, you know, they still marking it. We just, you know.
I was as I was looking through these 100 women of color, I'm gonna try to make it short. Make it short. I noticed two figures off the top, and that was one called Helen Keller. Helen Keller was deaf, dumb, and blind.
Ah,
I don't know if she was born that way, but I think it developed over the years. But she was a young child. They made this movie. I think the movie came out in the 50s, late 50s or early 60s, or it was called The Miracle Worker. You gotta
yeah.
watch that movie.
I said, I
Helen
think,
Keller, Helen Keller, the woman who taught Helen Keller, uh, um, uh, uh, taught her how to become uh, independent. Because as a child, they were showing her that her parents would let her do whatever she wanted to do, and she was like an animal. She'll go around and she'll grab food off her plate and stuff it in her mouth. And if she got upset about something, she'd just bang 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 bang. You know, she was totally out of control. She was like a animal that had been caged up and that had been abused all the time. But the fact that her senses, she didn't know how, she was devoid of the major senses that we have except for touch and taste. You know, it caused a severe handicap with her. But she
wow,
went on to become this great author, and she was also influential in the development of modern sign language. You know, sign
mm,
language for the what you call it, the for deaf people.
mm,
So as I'm checking it out and everything, because I've already known about Helen Keller. um I had heard a while back somebody say, "Oh, you know, Helen Keller was a Satanist." So I'm like, so as I checked it out, you know, I went and looked it up, and it says that she was not a Satanist, as people so mistakenly, always mistakenly. This is what happened when you don't do your own research, when you
hmm,
don't read.
yeah,
You go off
other people's
a
information,
lie that's been told. You repeat that lie over and over again until people start thinking that's factual
right,
when
right,
it's
right,
not. But
right,
some extraordinary things about her. She was part of Blavatsky's, Madame Blavatsky's movement called Theosophist. So she was a theosophist, and she was an occultist. Now, can you imagine, this lady was deaf, dumb, and blind,
she
and
was
she
into,
was able to understand high concepts
wow,
of occult knowledge,
that's
and
crazy.
and the deaf sign for "I love you" is this sign right here,
Uh-huh.
with the what they call the Baphomet sign. Now, people, this is where they got the ideology and this
Being a Satanist.
fantastic idea that she was a Satanist. But this symbol is also part of Theosophy's background into uh, Hinduism, and there's a discipline in Hinduism called the mudras. You know, the signs that they do with their hands and everything. You know, so that could have been part of what she was trying to express when
Mm.
she developed this sign. Now we know that the Satanists have adopted, and people from different cultures and different religions and everything have taken symbols and turned them around to mean something else. Just like they would take the cross that people would say the Christian cross, turn it upside down, say that's the cross of a witch or a devil. Or if they take the 6 point star, and in one aspect it's the Star of David, in
Right.
another aspect
It's a
it's
Satan.
it's the hexagram.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, not the pentagram, the pentagram.
Yeah, the pentagram.
Oh no, the hexagram. And in
You know
another
that
case, it's the balance. It's the balance of the male and female principle coming together as one. The triangle uh, pointed towards the bottom, which is the feminine aspect, and the
pentagram?
upright triangle. When you bring them together, they form a 6 point star. And this is what we known in the cult world as the balance between the feminine and the masculine principle.
Say
So
that.
I took note of that. I took note of that, and I also I also looked
Wait,
on the list. I'm gonna do Rosa. I'm gonna do Rosa Parks and then Mother Teresa. Then I'm
hold
gonna leave
on.
it at
Before
that.
you move on, I wanted
Now
to
we know what Rosa Parks was.
wait. Before you move on, let me read what they say about Helen with her the reason for
Okay.
being claimed. They say at 19 months old, they say she contracted an unknown illness described by doctors as an acute congestion of the stomach and the brain. Contemporary, the doctors believe that it might have been meningitis caused by the bacterium, um, or possibly, that's a big ass word, influenza, philius influenza.
Influenza.
Yeah, they got all this
Let me see.
hemophilus, whatever. They say this could have caused the same symptoms, but which is less likely caused due to huh?
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Now
like
go ahead. Just
that was one of those days. I feel like it. Juvenile mortality. Okay, so they say the illness left Keller both deaf and blind. She lived, as she recalled in her autobiography, at sea in a dense fog. So that's what they claim. Um, what brought her there? A possible stomach infection, and yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch that
wait.
movie as well. Hmm?
Yes, please watch it. It's a fascinating movie. You like it.
It's like
It's creepy. It's a little creepy too now
look,
because it's in
I
black and
like those
white, so
old
it's kind
creepy movies. I'm not even gonna lie, I really do. Those old creepy movies are the bomb.
of.
You know,
I
The-
say I first seen it when I was a little boy, so it kind of creeped me out.
Let me show you how to quickly open
You
one of
know,
the shop.
it not it creeped me out in the thing of not being scary,
you
but
gonna have me going
as
back watching
being
this,
being shocking.
right? I'm gonna go back and
Now
watch this.
that is the movie is in black and white. It's with I can't think of the lady
Oh, that wasn't the
who played.
one.
No, it's just look for the black and white one. It's
Okay,
probably made in the 50s.
which I
Uh,
like black and white movies. They are they um they stay right there and they don't play with your brain. All those different strobe lights
mhm.
and all that stuff, and in which the ancients warned us, the brain is going
Yeah.
to be
And
very loud.
there's not a lot of music, music and loud music. You know how to have
No,
music going constantly through a movie, and you
all
can't
throughout the
hear the
movie,
dialogue. If people, they don't have,
excitement.
when you look at them old movies, people have a dialogue. They be talking, they be spitting, and
Exactly.
like me and you talking to each other like normal people talk to each other every day. They don't do one-liners and stuff like that.
You
I'll
know,
be back. Like,
you
okay,
know what else?
I'll be waiting on you too.
Mhm.
You
Like
know.
what's so interesting, the reason why I hate the new movies that come out today for many reasons, but my kids was watching something, my son was watching a cartoon, and it's called something Moncart, and I'm so like quick to see what the hell they talking about, what they doing, what they trying to do with these kids and stuff. So I thought it was
Mhm.
innocent. It looked fine. I'm sitting here right in my room while my son is like watching whatever he's watching on his screen right here. And at the end of the day, I begin to go into a meditation. I sat down on the floor and I started going into a meditation while he was, watching his video. And while I was doing my meditation, I'm just like, I got sick in the middle of the meditation because
Mhm.
on my dresser has mirrors on it, on the drawers, and the
Okay.
reflection was bouncing from
The
this
television.
to the
Yeah.
mirror. on
Yeah.
and I could not meditate. Okay,
Yeah.
even though I was in tune with everything, that affected me so bad to the point where it made me nauseous and I could not
Mm,
shake it all. Not even through
yeah.
deep breathing, nothing. It was so many flashes just constantly. Pow, 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 pow,
Yeah.
pow, pow, pow. And mind you, my child is sitting right here in this chair watching his video, and I'm saying to myself, "Oh my gosh."
It's hypnotized.
I mean, big, bright, vivid colors, everything.
Yeah, I
Just
know. I know what you
and
mean.
I say I can't stand them. Oh, they make me sick. They just But yeah, I know this is off the beaten, but just sneaky old
That's
movies
a
to me.
cult. That's a cult. That's a cult science. That's a cult science. That's with colors. I have to. If I hear like rap music or if I hear especially the rap music that they play now, the hip hop music, it automatically disturbs me. I have to turn it
Mhm.
off. I have to turn it off immediately. Some commercials, most commercials, I don't even watch commercials on TV. I just turn the sound down automatically because it's disturbing. And even in some movies, when you watch the movie, dialogue is you have to turn it up, and then when the music come on, it's blaringly loud and everything. So I've noticed that dynamic that they put in music. I mean, in the industry as I'm very familiar with the techniques that they use for mind control, and
Very much,
that's what that's
very
all it
much,
is. It's mind control.
very, very much. But okay, so you say Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
Who
old Rose.
oh,
We
Rosa.
talked about Rosita. We
No,
talked
me,
about Rosita
me
last
me
time,
that's Rosa.
but we don't know
She said I ain't getting up
Rosa.
Rosa.
Rosa
Rosa.
was Rosa was the
Rosa.
fakest black civil rights person
That
ever.
that is a black
And
woman for
I,
sure. She ain't playing. That's a
I
real black woman. She said,
I heard all of these stories about Rosa Parks and how um okay, they give us the narrative that she was the first. She was the pivotal catalyst for starting civil the civil rights movement, and definitely she were one that instigated the Montgomery bus boycott. But this was all set up. This was all set up as a strategy to to engage in the racial disparities and injustice during that time. They used her. They
mm,
used her as a Boule agency. All of these people came from the Harlem Renaissance period. During that period, and the formation and the development of the Boule Society, which beforehand Carver, George Washington, I mean W. E. B. Du Bois, um, called the talented tenth. That we're going to take a tenth of our greatest and most influential and smartest black people, and they're going to represent us. When they when it all went down to is that they were nothing but what they call advisors to the king. So they kept the black people, they kept mainstream black society in their place. They shaped the way they thought, and they
mm,
shaped their social norms and
right.
the religious aspect. Oh, this is how she was used, and I said to myself, like I heard this all the time, you know. So I was doing some research, and I came upon this young PhD black woman, and she has a PhD in African Studies, has two more other degrees, two other master's degrees, and she came out and just bluntly said, she said, "Oh no, Rosa didn't do nothing.
Oh
Rosa
wow.
was set up to do that. They had the newspaper men and everything, and the cameras out there, so that they could pull this stunt off." Now, when I did the other research, yeah, she bought
I
it
knew
bought it
that.
as a $3 bill.
I
She
didn't know that.
bought it as a $3 bill. Okay,
Everything
so
is
but
staged.
it was the person who the first, in actuality, it was a 15-year-old named Claudette Colvin of Montgomery who was the first woman to
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
refuse
To refuse to get off. I remember
refuse
that.
to give
Yeah.
up her seat to a white woman.
Yeah. Yes, yes,
Rosa
yes, yes.
Parks.
I read up on that a minute ago. Yeah. You're right. Yes.
And,
That is
and
true.
they couldn't use her, or they didn't want to use her because
She was a
of
dog.
the stereotypical image that the Boule wanted to promote. She was dark
Yep.
skinned, and she looked like a little what white folks would call a pickaninny. You know what I mean? Poor, uneducated. Well, not uneducated. I don't know if she was uneducated, but she was of what we call the common origin.
Right.
You know what I mean? She was nobody who was involved in anything. She was just a 15-year-old girl like any other 15-year-old girl
No,
who
say
got
it again. She
tired
like,
of white folks pushing her around.
I'm
And she
tired.
was like, no, I'm not giving up my seat.
Right. Here it
And
is
see,
right
that's where you get the false narrative that Rosa Parks didn't get up because she was tired.
right.
No, it wasn't her. It was the 15-year-old girl.
Yeah. Hold on. Yes, I remember. I definitely remember this one. Yeah. I'm just pulling up a quick one. You know, I normally don't go to I consider my sources. For those who are doing research, consider your source. I have been told that for a while as a researcher, always consider the source because people can tell you whatever they want to tell you on their mainstream. So, but right here it says it says a 15-year-old black girl on her way home from school refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama when the white bus driver ordered her to move. Colvan was told to move after a white woman refused to sit in an open seat across the aisle from her. After the teenager's bold refusal, the driver summoned police who dragged the teenager off the bus and arrested her. This is the woman right here. It's like she has like this like a video. Um oh, here's another dynamic one right here. Boy, she tried it. She gonna be another Diana, dirty Diana.
Oh, I hope. Well, she better be careful because them people right there, they don't play no games like that.
They don't play no games. This one right here,
Yeah,
they don't play
she didn't.
no.
But it's so weird. It's so weird. You don't know what these people gonna do, and we make
They
these
gonna wait you
assumptions,
out.
and you don't know what the reasons why. How did I mean? She's supposed to be a mulatto, and the royal family
When
is
you're starting a
usually
business,
marry somebody
$0
who has
tips,
some
like
type of
leaving your
bloodline, even if it's far down the line. You know what I mean?
Wait. Say that one more time. Hold on.
I'll
Okay.
say they. Let me let you go on with that because
No, go
see
ahead.
that's the image.
So
No,
what you gonna say?
I was saying that the royal family usually always choose a companion for the royal family that has some type of connection to them in their bloodline, even if it's generations past. You know what I mean? Just like Diana. Diana has some royal blood that they trace way back.
That's why
You
they picked
know,
the
but
Middleton girl. That's why they picked Kate Middleton because look at her last name. That's one of those royal
mhm,
names, Middleton. It wasn't, and
Middle
when they
tongue, yeah,
Middleton, they didn't just, it
yeah.
wasn't, but this one right, that chick, woo, child. I feel sorry for her. If I, baby, let me tell you something.
But
Um,
see, I don't know what. See, there's some stuff that I can tell you some occult things and what they call conspiratorial aspects of the royal family it'll blow your mind. But most people don't consider none of this, and they take it as that's just conspiracy theory and blah blah. Oh, you talking? Well, we could go from the dynamic of them being reptilians into vampirism, pedophilia. I mean, you name it, sex trafficking, the whole gamut,
the
whatever you want to
whole
name, that horrible.
anti
They,
everything,
they've been a part of. They got hands all in it.
all up in it,
Drugs, it doesn't matter. You
all up
know.
in it. Okay, let's go with her. Hold on, let's see.
Rosa Parks. David Begnaud sat down with Colvin and spoke to her about a new development in her story.
Heating assistants now.
It's very nice to meet you. Claudette Colvin has spent most of her 82 years
Oh
as a
wow.
convicted juvenile delinquent who would go on to college, work as a nurse's aide, and raise 2 sons. Do you think of yourself as an important figure in history?
No, I think of myself as a survival of the civil rights struggle.
Her place in the civil rights struggle began when she was 15 years old, at the back of a crowd.
Did I do that?
Montgomery, Alabama bus after school with 3 friends.
I was sitting in the session that was allowed for colored people, and this white lady came to the bus.
But you hear her own. This is her own personal testimony.
I'm so
Now,
sorry, you
many people.
guys. I lost my online. I was online and my computer died out. I'm so sorry, y'all. Until next time. Go ahead and say what you got to say. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I've never, I don't know how you found that, but I've never known that she was still living. I didn't even go into investigating her because I was trying to do so many other things. And I'm glad that we're doing these series of these live streams because it gives me a chance to gather information and then go back and look at the intricacies of
Yeah.
all the information that we have collected, and then it's like it's almost like rewriting history. If what we're doing right now, we are rewriting history, not
Exhumed.
rewriting history, but
Exhumed.
retelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Given the personal testimony of this woman, you still have some people who will say, well, maybe they just set all of that up, and blah, 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 and all this, that, and the other, and everything. But I mean, you can clearly go to a news article,
Yes.
an old news article on microfilm and find out the news of that time.
That part. That part. Okay, here we go.
So I refused because this wasn't an elderly white lady. This was a young white.
You're sitting there, your classmates get up and move.
Yes.
What was going through your head as to why you refused to stay?
She my age. That's what it was. She like, I want to fight. She like, you my age, you my size.
I said I could not move because history had me glued to the street. And they said, how is that? I said, well, it felt as though
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Harriet Tubman hands were pushing me down on one shoulder, and Sojourner Truth hand was pushing me down on the other show.
I'm so sorry. Just it's I don't want to know. I already know what time it is. Um yeah. Well, for those who just found out, that there was a dynamic woman before, a dynamic young girl before Rosa Parks. Um Here she is. Yeah, I can do your own homework and show reference to this one right here, homage to this one right here. Anything else, my sweet dear friend?
I'm gonna tell you one thing. Well, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was another charlatan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can go. Mother Teresa conspiracy is she was involved in child trafficking in India. There's a video. There's a video on YouTube, but people could look at this later, called Mother Teresa runs child trafficking by City Media, and also another one called Examining the Cult of Mother Teresa, the Dharma Dispatch. If
Hmm.
when you look into that, it's gonna really blow your mind. I've heard some things in the conscious community about her also, but I never did investigate it and look it up. Because I've studied so many things. Only thing else that I want to mention is that I want to give a ashe and a shout out to my great grandmama Eva King Buckley, who taught me neuropathy and handed down the gift of healing to me. She was the most influential woman in my life. She trained me from a child. I remember standing in a chair up to the sink and washing dishes. Maybe it had to be 3 or 4 years old. I would take out the garbage. I was the only one back then. You couldn't even come in the kitchen when adults were cooking or anything. So I used to come. I used to always. I hide under the table, and then when she started cooking, I come out. So she'd give me a task. This is how I learned how to cook. Ever since I was 5 years old, I was in the kitchen peeling potatoes,
Wow.
boiling water, cutting up vegetables and everything, learning how to cook hot dogs or salami or just learning how to cook and learning different recipes from her and everything. And she was a mulatto like myself. I have mulattoes on both sides of my family, but she was also mixed with Blackfoot Indian,
Mhm.
and it's like one of the most greatest influences in my life. Besides my mother, quite naturally, people are not gonna people too much. Even though I've had a lot of differences with my parents, a lot of real deep seated differences with them, I still love them.
Okay, of
Uh,
course.
and I want to give a shout out to the less mentioned, one of the greatest scholars that of the black community, Frances Quelch Wilson. Brilliant
Woo!
woman.
How did I please, hands down, hands
We can't
down.
live without Frances Quelch Wilson, and
Never.
also those that followed in her footprints was also a woman who's been teaching on the university level for years. Dr. Joyce DeGruy,
True.
who, mhm, who always
Those are
talk
two
about African.
dynamic women. I didn't get a chance to exercise that antiquity part, but yes, those are the two that, and also Dr. Charcy McIntyre.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
am a
Mhm.
huge fan of those three women. Okay, when I tell you they break it down, they break it down. For those who don't know about those dynamic women, they are the leaders for reality and
They are
we,
scholars and our
our scholars.
intellectuals.
They are our scholars. Please.
And it's also one that I want to mention that a lot of us don't know. She's younger than all of them, but probably she may be your age. She could be your age. Her name is Michelle Alexander, and she wrote this book about the industrial prison system called the New Jim Crow.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
She
yeah.
was I think she was an attorney. She was an attorney, and then she switched her career after noticing all the disparities in the prison sentences and everything. To
Mhm.
she wrote a book, and then she went on a lecture tour. She's got a great lectures on YouTube also concerning her book and talking about the prison industrial system. And
Mhm.
she's I look up to black women who have I mean uh who reflect the acumen, the qualities of beauty and intelligence, class, dignity, elegance. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like we go back to your name, and the position that when you see the image of Asar, or better known as Osiris, and Aset, and Isis, and also Hathor, as them standing on the side of Asar and having their hands behind his back, holding him up,
Yes.
embracing him. The two aspects, and those aspects represented sister, mother, and wife,
Mhm.
because all of the what they call the Ogdo of the primary gods and goddesses of um, of Egypt were all noted as sisters and wives
Mhm. Mhm.
to
Yeah.
to their companion.
Mhm.
And a lot of this takes like that's their sisters. No, they are our sisters. Where
Yeah.
we innately
Same with
get the urge to call each other sister and brother. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. Same as uh Menes, or what's his other name? Menes had another,
Ramesses.
no.
Oh,
Um
you talking about Greek name?
Menes, no. Menes, the name is gonna come to me in a minute. It slipped off me. But anyways, he was his sister was his consort, and also his wife, uh his and they considered her name was Nithotep. So it's the same
Oh yeah,
difference, you
yeah.
know.
That's what I mean.
They-
What I just said, the Ogdo. There's
yeah.
there's eight characters. There's eight personalities,
Mhm.
and they are male and female, and they
Mhm.
all relate to each other as mother, sister, and wife,
That's right, yeah.
which is those aspects, and why I wanted to talk about this subject about the women in history of notoriety.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times nobody wants women, especially always talk about, well, yeah, I don't never mention the women and everything. So in
Well, we're
everything that I do,
doing
I try to keep a balance with things now, because I'm like, okay, all of these men are doing all of this. What about these women? What are they doing?
Well, we thank
Then
you so much.
come to find out, they have always been
In
the
the back burner, at the back, you know,
the, back,
behind
the
the
background
scenes.
of supporting the black leaders.
Period. I
Coretta
mean,
Scott King, Betty
yes,
Shabazz. You know what
yes,
I mean?
yes,
So
yes. It's
and
always,
they,
it's always a strong woman behind backing a strong man. You know, I want to go ahead and like wrap this up, but I wanted to leave us on a note with this amazing woman who I have a lot of respect for. I don't know what they're going to say about her, but they only can say good stuff. So
Today.
let's see what
Today
this.
we're talking about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was born in 1935 in Chicago, Illinois. Both her father and mother held jobs in which her mother was a teacher and her father was a doctor in the medical field. She also was the second child of 3 girls. These two professionals would mold Frances to look deeper into the normal way of life. Her dad, Henry, and her mother, Ida.
I want to go ahead and bring
Never.
this bill for it.
This book would analyze and suggest that humans with little to no pigment in their skin were abnormal. Pigment in human skin seemed to be the natural state. This conclusion came from the majority of humans producing pigment in their skin, such as Europeans or albinoism was a genetic inadequacy. This theory, in Frances's book, would be the origins of white supremacy culture and racial perception.
Now, mind you, for those who's watching, this woman has challenged white scholars, and they had to back down and give all praises due to her. So,
yeah,
when she,
they admitted that she was scientifically sound
oh yeah,
in her presentation
of
in her
course,
what she about, you know.
yep, she is dead on. So, what they're saying about her has been scientifically acknowledged.
22 years later, she would write The ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Colors. This was a collection of essays written by Frances over an 18-year time period. They were also named after the Egyptian goddess Isis, who was the sister of the god of Osiris. She would argue the African origins of civilization by highlighting the achievements in philosophy, science, and architecture. Frances also talks of Europeans being the only people in the world with little to no melanin, and for this reason, they were expelled out of Africa. She also claims that Europeans want to ensure genetic survival in Europeans due to the rest of the world having melanin. Populations of blacks and other melanated people around the world were growing at a faster rate than whites were. If put in the same population with melanin, the melanin would mix with the white and produce a person with melanin. Frances speaks of how Europeans view the human body as a sin and the need to be reborn. While no such concepts existed in any melanated culture around the world before the introduction of foreign religions. I found this Mark Twain quote I learned about and found very interesting. Nearly all the black and brown skins are beautiful, but white is rare. How rare? One may learn by walking down a street in Paris, New York, or London on any weekday, particularly in an unfashionable street, and keeping count of the satisfactory complexions encountered in the course of a mile. Where dark complexions are masked, they make the whites look bleached out, unwholesome, sometimes frankly ghastly. That was said by Mark Twain himself. These papers and writings were the first time a African American psychiatrist wrote on and against a predominantly white practice in the West. Theories and studies on
Yeah,
social, cultural, and psychology in the West were mostly done by Europeans. She was qualified to speak on all these subjects, and she did. She would be the first.
She was qualified to speak on all these subjects, and she did. That's like, and this is another one. Well, this is not a, this is a man, but Sheikh Atandi,
Jake,
Andia.
yeah, they everybody pronounces that. It's they pronounce it Diop, but
Diop.
it's actually it's like his name is Sheikh Juke. You pronounce it like that.
Because it's
Sheikh
French.
Juke. It's French, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But we'll
but
say Diop.
we say Diop because we're from USA. But this
Yeah.
woman right here, she is like one of those dynamic women. And Francis, what's her name? DeGruy,
Joyce
DeGruy.
DeGruy.
This woman, listen, let me say this. Anybody who had not gotten the chance to run up on this woman right here and Frances Cress Wesleyan, and I know we're talking about women, but another one that Dr. Frances Cress Wesleyan taught was what's that man name who taught the everything is like popping out. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, he was a psychologist also. His
What's
name is Bobby Wright.
No, not him. He taught the he taught the 8 principle, the 8 sheesh. It'll come to
You're not talking about Chancellor Williams, are you?
No. Dr. Cress Wesleyan taught him what he knows, pretty much, not all, but gave him a foundation. Light-skinned guy, very, very heavy into the understanding of antiquities and stuff like that.
I know who you're talking about.
He talked about the 8 things that control everything was just war, religion, education.
Does he have an African name?
No, it's gonna come
American,
to me. Yeah, it's gonna come to me, but it's gonna come to me. It is. It really is. But this woman right here, listen. And we're gonna go. But this woman right here, for anybody that don't know about her, she is to be watched and to be understood. She breaks it down on the traumatic, the PTSD that Black people deal with, and she hits home. This beautiful Black woman. There's another one as well. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. Once I go into this zone, it's a different story. But there's another one.
See, that's what I was talking about.
She's a doctor. She was. I need to get back.
And there's another educator. She was heavy back in the 70s and the 80s.
Black woman with some locks in her head.
I can't think of her name. I can't remember. I can only remember their name because they were so dynamic.
There's
and
a Black woman that
they would
has
have those.
tell me if you remember this one. She's a Black woman that has locks in her head, and her name is so, I don't understand what my brain is. I'm so tired. This is annoying because all these years I'm like so annoyed right now because nothing is like coming, and I think it's because I'm like on a spot with it. But
yeah,
it's gonna come to me.
You'll remember as soon as the camera go off.
I'm so stuck right now.
But when you have so much information that you have attained and accessed over the years, it becomes convoluted in the brain as you get older, and you have to learn techniques of compartmentalizing areas of your brain that information is stored in, and you have to give yourself there's certain techniques that I use from the occult schools that that helps me with remembering, with remembering things, and with bringing back things. I often my brain never stops, so I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking, even in my sleep and everything, and it's like I can't turn my brain off, so I have to compartmentalize everything, and that's why I write everything down, because it's a way of me remembering. When I write
Right,
things down, I'm able to remember better. Just
right,
like
right.
sometimes you may forget how to spell a word and everything. You say, "Hold on, I know how to spell this word." So you have to write it down. Then once you write it down, you say,
You
"Oh yeah,
start your
okay,
pen start going and doing his own thing. This is another
yeah."
dynamic woman too, as well. Dr. Robin D'Angelo. She have you ever seen her? Have you ever
Mm-mm, no.
checked her out? It's called The White Fragility. Um
A, a lot of the modern intellectuals um, that that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with that book, but I never heard her speak.
Oh
Um,
man, you need to go
are
back and watch her. She's heavy.
they're in the realm of occultists, that that deal with esoteric and occult knowledge. A lot of our educated white American women um, speak speak more as to preserved history, and history is as it is already established. Very
Mhm.
few deviate from that path of knowledge, and they're just not as uh, uh, charismatic
Mhm.
charismatic as our sisters. Now you do have this other super duper feminist Jane Elliott, who I do not care for at all.
Mhm.
I always talk about racism.
Mhm.
You she always bring it up. She the one introduced the information on the blue eye, or brown eyed dynamic of the racial disparity and the black baby and the white baby dynamic. Where they sit down and ask the little black child, which one
Yeah.
of these babies, which one of these babies is good, which
Right.
one is bad.
Right. 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 That bull crap. Lord have
See, I
mercy.
don't trust that. That's that's the left hand path of witchcraft. Witchcraft.
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right.
and she's made a living. She's made a very good living and popularity off of our dynamic. But I mean, what can you say?
Not much. Right. Um. Well, I'm stuck on this.
You're
Golly,
trying
his
to
name.
remember the guy.
Yeah, his name is like right at the tip. It's right at the tip, and then the other woman is right at the tip too. But the guy is there. I can't believe it's right there. It's gonna come in a minute, y'all, and I'm gonna drop it in the comment box when I get it. Especially with the black woman, the black doctor. She's talking about melanin. That's what it was. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I think I.
You found it. You remember? So damn silly.
Let me tell you.
That's one thing I like about you, your determination.
Oh yeah.
No, no,
I ain't giving up.
no,
I
my
don't give up so
I
easy.
know this is the right way. Just bear. I know it's the right way. Let's go this
Let
way.
me know, gang, gang.
I'll be like, no, I think we better turn around. Like, no, I know I'm going the right way.
Right, right, right. Okay, I'm following my senses here. Here she is. Her name is Dr. Ann Brown. This woman,
Of course,
Dr.
I
Ann
couldn't remember
Brown.
her. Oh yeah, Sister Brown. Yeah.
Man, listen, y'all. Hey, if y'all haven't tapped into her, she is on point. Let me give y'all a little volume and then we're gonna get out of here.
Through the hair, which is like a straw that you take your juice with, and it goes into the body, energizes the body, and also creates more dark centers, in addition to the foods that you eat with pigments. And then it's going to make the current in your nervous system. Now, I teach embryology as well, the origin or the development of the egg and the sperm and all the stages. And I have a slide to show you that the earliest cells are melanated cells. Therefore, melanated cells populate every other organ and tissue in the body. It's carrying the chemistry of melanin. Caucasian people have pheomelanin. I have a slide on that, which is a type of melanin. It's a melanoid. OID ending at the end of a word means it's a form of whatever the prefix is. So melanoid or caucasoid is a type of Caucasian. That's how they classify it. So, so we ask the question, we try to direct the students so they can get an interest to know what it is they carry. So they won't bleach it out, won't bleach the hair, and they won't buy those bleached out artificial wigs that look like, well, anyway. What is melanin? Okay, well, with that term, I've studied etymology. Etymology is the original meaning of words, as far back as you can get it. So names of people, no matter where they are, Europeans, etc., with the name M-E-L-A, it means you came from a black line. So that's Italian for that you came from a black line, and they know this. It's not taught in the schools. Right. If your name is Schwartz, Schwartzman, Schwartz something, it means it's German that you came from through a black ancestry, directly from a black ancestry. So yes, we want to define M-E-L-A, melanin. Phil Valentine is very good at giving some good tidbits on this. He says black is a consciousness conductor. All right, so let me explain that one. You have 12 melanated centers in the brain. 3 of them dominate the brain. Now, I can name them for you. In the third ventricle of the brain, there is some neuromelanin, blood cells, and cells that help to generate the pigments in that area. Then there's one called the locus coeruleus, which is in between the cerebellum and the midbrain and the medulla. And then there are 10 others, not as much, right? So melanin consciousness means that when the nerves were forming, the primordial cells populated along the dorsal area, meaning the back, the future skin. Cells broke away from that, and then the neural tube, which is the nervous, which is the spinal cord, formed. And then those cells that broke away during that process, they migrated into other areas of the body. Example, melanocytes come from those neural crest cells. Dr. King can tell you the same thing. Neural crest cells are the ones that those cells that came off the formation of the spinal cord, and they left that area and migrated into all different parts of the body. Every nerve in your body, in the cell body of those nerves, there is neuromelanin. They call it Nissl substance. This is why melanin. We know Nissl substance in the cell body of every nerve is there. What is it there for? Well, you have trillions of nerves, say in the brain, the spinal cord, elsewhere. The energy coming from those nerves, that is we call it impulse or current coming from one nerve to the next, is going to go right to the Nissl substance, get re-energized, also going to go to the black area of the brain called the substantia nigra, and so on, to be re-energized. It's going to re-energize the nerves in the cell body where the melanin is, and activate it and make it stronger, and send it to all different parts of that brain which is all neuronal tissue. Nerves in.
Now, listen, we can go deep. I can watch this all doggone day. But for those who want to check it out, you can just go to the comment section and then you can pull that up, because she's a heavy hitter, big time on a biology level. Okay, that she's talking. This is why I like to watch women like her and men like her, or read up on these people and what they talk about, because they're going down to the molecular structure of stuff. And it's not it's not like it's just, you know, theoretical, you know, it is actual scientific. So this woman right here is dynamic. But okay, we didn't went way past our time and we like had too much fun. It's bedtime.
So never say I didn't give the women their due.
We appreciate you. I'll say thank you for the rest.
Namaste, huh?
I say thank you. So we'll see you guys.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, right. Thank you. We appreciate you learning from the feminine energy. There's a lot more to learn, you know. But thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thank you so much for giving us all this amazing information, you know, that we could pass on. And I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. So we'll see you guys next time. And hey, we're moving. We are moving. We are going to a more public page, and we're already on YouTube. We're going to create another Facebook page. We have created another Facebook page, so we're going to start shifting everything over there. That way we build our following, because not anybody can get on my page, and I don't think anybody can get on his page. So therefore we're limited to the reach. So we'll see y'all next time, and we'll see y'all on the other side next time. All right. Until then,
Right.
y'all stay monkeypox free.
I shade.
All right, you guys. Take care.